Hi, my name is Danny Forbes and I work in the evening in CFM. And today we will be doing the story of the synagogue and the upper room. And it's quite a large story, as you can see. And at the end of the time in which I tell the story, I'll have a time where I discuss all of the pieces so that it will make sense to you what to do when you come into the classroom to tell your story this coming week. The story of the synagogue and the upper room. This is the synagogue in Nazareth, where Jesus grew up. After Jesus came out of the desert and he went across the river Jordan, he came home to Nazareth. And Jesus went into the synagogue as was his custom. He went to the reading place and he opened the scroll of the prophet Isaiah. And this is what he read. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. And then he rolled up the scroll and sat down. When they began to discuss his reading, he said something like this: "Today, this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing." That means that it has come true. The people heard what Jesus said, and they became angry. He is not the Messiah. They knew who he was. He was the son of Joseph and Mary. They took Jesus to the edge of the village where there was a cliff. And they were going to throw him off. But Jesus slipped through the crowd and he went back into the hills. Many days went by. He gathered the 12 and he did his work. Then he turned towards Jerusalem for the last time. He and the 12 came into the city on a Sunday. And Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they taught in the synagogue. But on Thursday, the temple guards had no idea where Jesus went. He went through the narrow streets of the city. He and the 12 went through the dark streets, and they climbed upstairs to a house. They went to an empty room, an upper room, and they shared a Last Supper together. After they had eaten everything that they wanted to eat, Jesus did something very strange. He took the bread and he gave thanks to God for it, and he broke it and he gave it to them. And then he said something like, "When you eat this bread, and when you eat it like this, I will be there." But he was already there. Then he took the cup of wine, and he said, "When you drink the wine like this, I will be there." He was always saying things like that. What could he mean? They did not understand at first, but They did not forget. And later, they would understand. Now watch carefully. I wonder what this could be. This is the story of the synagogue in the upper room. And there's no specific wondering questions that are listed, but if you have questions that you would like to wonder about with your class as you share this story, please feel free to do so. To show you how it is that we connected these things, these two pieces, you should have these two panels, which you can find inside this ark, which is listed as the back of the synagogue. And the two panels just fit in just like this, and they're actually needed in order to make the synagogue fit together just so. You can see it takes a little bit of work to make that happen. And then this is separate, and it comes apart like this. There's these little notches in this part to make it so that when you move this, you can fit this right into the notches, just like that. This panel comes right off, and when you turn it around, you can see that it has the cross on this side. It gets slid right into this back part, and then these two panels come out and help to make this side piece have the boundaries that it needs to have, so that when you trace your fingers, you're tracing a building that's in the form of a cross. One thing to consider when you're telling this story is that it's very hard for children to see if they are right next to you. They really need to be at an angle at least far enough to where they can see through this way, and then the story is visible to them. So depending on the numbers in your classroom for this week, you might have to orient the circle slightly different than you usually do. Just make sure that everybody can see. If you have any other questions, please feel free to talk to any one of your team leads or one of the staff members on Sunday. Thanks.